let's talk a little bit about outcomes versus outputs, why they are different and why they matter in context of OKRs. To make it more comprehensible, let's reuse our results-oriented approach from the previous example. As previously demonstrated, we start with the impact first and dig deeper step by step until we reach the input level. In every level, we need to answer questions in order to slide down the levels. In order to pass the impact level, we must answer the questions: what is it good for, or what is the business result? What's the value adding part? This can be something like, we want to become the most successful machine learning company in the world. Once you have answered this question entirely, you can proceed with the outcome level, where you should answer questions like, what helps creating the impact? Or what drives the business result? In our example, this can be something like, we have the highest market share in the machine learning industry. Again, once this question has been answered, you are allowed to proceed sliding down to the output level. Answering the question, what must be in place to enable the outcome, is a tangible way to describe what deliverables must be in place. In our scenario, this could mean, for example, that we are launching 10 new machine learning products this year. And as you can imagine, once you answer this question as well, you can finally tackle the input level, where you can plan and organize your to-dos in order to launch 10 new machine learning products. Here this could mean to hire 10 new machine learning engineers and product managers, or streamline the product launch process. You now have gone through the entire process chain on how to tackle objectives in a results-oriented way. This approach might feel uncomfortable for you in the beginning, but it is the starting of becoming way more productive than in the past. If there would be only one thing I could recommend to you after this lesson, then it is start with why, always. So now you might have a slightly better understanding of why outcomes and outputs are so different and important. Anyhow, my goal is to make this concept crystal clear to you. That's why we will zoom in a bit more on outcomes in the following minutes. So why does it matter to focus on outcomes specifically? Because outcomes are the perfect measure to see if your customers, users, or stakeholder behavior is contributing towards your business objectives. You can only achieve your objectives if your stakeholder sees the value in your work and is acting in the same way. That can be, for example, higher turnovers, which lead to market share increases, or also improved user experiences, which leads to higher customer satisfaction. Also, outcomes are deliverables which ensures an added value. Just providing another deliverable doesn't necessarily mean it adds value to your customers automatically. You can produce a lot of stuff where your customers really doesn't care in reality. That's the definition of being busy. Outcomes, on the other side, combine both aspects. So the equation looks like outcomes equals outputs multiplied by the added value. If one of the two variables is 0, then there will be no positive outcome. The third reason why you should focus on outcomes is the level of steering. Relying on outcomes gives you and your team enough room to work on solutions autonomously, but they are still specific enough to keep you on track. Whereas the impact level is way too unspecific and outputs don't consider the added value aspect well enough. So you now might wonder if there is a shortcut to create meaningful outcomes. And yes, indeed, there is a shortcut. And the shortcut, as I call it, are the magic questions. The first question is to identify good outcomes. What are the human behaviors that drives business results? How can we get people to do more of these things? And finally, how will we know we are right? With these questions and some practice, you will easily identify good outcomes. As you might have noticed already, we barely talked about OKRs at this point. And there is a good reason for it. Typical mistakes in adopting OKRs are that one jumps to the definition of objectives and key results first without really understanding what's behind these terms. That's why we emphasize so much on outcomes and outputs first, so you get a proper understanding of its meaning and why it really matters if you want to apply OKRs in real life.